Welcome to academia.com.ng, your online academic one-stop portal that provides you with all you need to know in the area of the English language. In this video, I'll be showing you how to identify a noun in any sentence, in any context where you see a noun. In our table of contents, we'll be looking at what is a noun. We'll be checking out the grammatical category of a noun. We'll look at the description of a noun. We'll go ahead to talk about noun functions. And then finally, we'll be looking at types of nouns. What is a noun? It's a question that a lot of people have asked. And then in your elementary school, if you could still remember, you were told that a noun is the name of any person, place, animal, or thing. That was a definition that was given by the traditional grammarian, those who prescribe rules that guide the use of the English language. So they have put it in a straitjacket that a noun is the name of any person, place, animal, or thing. But let me ask you this question. When you see a word like disbursement, the government is ready with a disbursement. Is disbursement a person? No. Is disbursement a place? No. Is disbursement a thing? No. Is disbursement an animal? No. Then something is wrong. So if a noun has generally been defined as the name of persons, places, animal, or things, then it means that disbursement, which is a noun, can never be accounted to be a noun. And that means there is more to that definition that you have been given. I'm sure you must have used this definition at one time or the other. Could this even be the only definition of a noun you know? Let's make some progress and discover what a noun is. There are numerous words, just like I said earlier on, that do not belong to any of these four categories, and they are still classified as nouns. They are not animals, they are not places, they are not names, they are not things, yet they are nouns. So what then is a noun? A noun generally is a name or a content word that is used to refer to anything. A name or a content word that is used to refer to anything. A noun is also a name tag or a label by which something is known. In other words, anything that has a name is a noun. Anything that has a tag or a label is a noun. So a noun is a name or a content word that is used to refer to anything. A noun is a name tag or a label by which something is known. Furthermore, a noun is a signifying word. When you look at language, language has to do with the relationship between the signifier and the signified. In other words, language has to do with what a thing is and what that thing is called. So, a noun is a word that is used to signify, a word that is used to tag something, a word that is used to label something. Let's move on to see the grammatical category of a noun. A noun belongs to the grammatical category of words that are commonly referred to as parts of speech or word classes. We have dealt with that in one of our videos. Just check our playlist and you see the video on parts of speech, and you can enjoy the teaching. Now, let's look at the description of a noun. Now, in this sense, rather than provide an overarching definition of a noun or give a one-size-fits-all definition, it's very expedient to describe a noun by what it does or how it appears. In other words, it's very okay to define a noun or to describe a noun by its form and function. That is how it appears and what it does. In other words, we will adopt a descriptive perspective to explaining the concept of a noun rather than a prescriptive approach which simply prescribes or defines. Now, when we talk about the prescriptive approach, we'll talk about that traditional approach that tends to give definition to things, definition which could be faulted in time to come. For example, the prescriptive approach has told us that a preposition cannot end a word. that it is wrong to say, where are you going to? But that is not totally correct. Now, we have another school of thought, the descriptive school, that tells us that it is better to describe words by what they do rather than slam a label or a definition on them. So, there are various ways to describe what a noun is. And the way we're going to do this is to look at the functions of a noun. When we are able to identify the functions of a noun, then we can correctly describe what a noun is, so that when you see a noun, you will be able to properly identify it. The first thing here is that a noun is generally a name. Anything that is a name is a noun. It is certain that once something has a name, that name is a noun. It is nominal in nature. So a noun is generally a name. That is one way to identify a noun. Secondly, a noun is usually preceded by the article. You know, we have two types of articles, the definite article, the indefinite article. So a noun is usually preceded by the article. We will look at this shortly. Another way to identify a noun is that a noun is usually modified, qualified, or described by adjectives. That is very important. When a word is a noun, when a lexical item is a noun, one way to identify that is that there's an adjective that will be before that noun to modify it. When the adjective comes after the noun, then the adjective is qualifying it. Another way to identify a noun is that a noun usually functions as the subject of a sentence. When you have a sentence, what functions in the place of the subject is usually a noun. In addition, a noun also functions as the object of a sentence. Whatever you find in the object position of a sentence is most likely a noun. Another way to identify a noun is that a noun usually functions as the complement of the subject. A subject can have a complement. A subject may not have a complement. But another way to identify a noun is that a noun will usually function as a complement of the subject. We'll look at all this closely with examples. A noun also functions equally as the complement of the object. A noun can function as the complement of the object. And finally, a noun functions as the complement of the preposition. Now let's begin to look at these functions very closely. A noun as a name. Like we said, anything you can think of as a name is a noun. So when you have a content word that refers to anything like a person, a place, a thing, an animal, a concept, a quality, an idea, a feeling, a doctrine, a theory, an ideology, a state, and so on and so forth. All of this can be referred to as noun. A noun can take the shape of anything. So any content word you see there that refers to a person, place, a thing, an animal, a concept, a quality, an idea, a feeling, a doctrine, a theory, an ideology, or a state is a noun. It can be a name tag for places, like you can have for cities, for countries. It could be a name tag for natural occurrences or disasters, or it could be a name for persons or institutions or organizations or rivers or mountains or lakes or islands or continents or countries or states or districts or worlds or areas or cities, towns, hamlets, settlements, communities, oceans, seas, books, and so on and so forth, or a label by which something is known. That is a noun. So in other words, a noun could be seen as what signifies anything. Like I said earlier on, a signifier. Now, the second way to identify a noun is that nouns are usually preceded by articles. It could be the definite article or the indefinite article. Let's look at the indefinite article. That is the article a, which variant is an. You put the a before consonants and you put the an before vowels. This is applicable to count nouns. In other words, nouns that have been referred to as countable nouns. A book, an egg, a pen, an umbrella, an aeroplane. All of these words are nouns because they can accommodate the insertion of the indefinite article a with its variant an, which is usually used before vowels. However, there are some non-count nouns that can admit only the article the. So when you insert an article before a word and that word makes sense, then what you have is a noun. Let's look at this further. Nouns are usually modified or qualified by adjectives. Words that are preceded by adjectives are most likely nouns. When an adjective precedes a word, that word is a noun. Adjectives usually describe qualities possessed by other words. In some cases, a word that is naturally an adjective could become a noun based on its function or usage. In other words, it is how you use a word that determines its part of speech. So a word may be traditionally an adjective, but in some cases, depending on the usage, it could function as a noun. Let's look at this example. The rich people also complain. You see, the word rich highlighted in red in this example is traditionally an adjective, while people preceded by the adjective rich is a noun. So we are saying that an adjective can be made to function as a noun. Now let's see the example. The rich also complain. Now look at the first example. The rich people also complain. Here we are saying the rich also complain. Now the rich in the first example, which is functioning as an adjective, modifying the noun people, has now been made to function itself as a noun. So we say the rich also complain. Now this is also a way of identifying a noun. Let's look at another example. The great Alexander conquered the whole empire. Great, as used above, is an adjective. It is modifying the noun Alexander. But let's look at it the other way. Alexander the Great conquered Greece and founded Alexandria. Great, as used in the second example, is a noun. It's no longer an adjective as it functioned in the first example, where we have the great Alexander. The word great is being made to function as a noun. So, form and function are important concepts in identifying a noun. Let's make some progress. Nouns usually function as the subject of a sentence. A sentence, being the largest grammatical unit in the English rank scale, generally consists of a subject and the predicate. Now, when you talk about the subject of a sentence, the subject is the performer of an action in the sentence. The subject is the actor or the initiator of the action in that sentence, and it usually comes before the verb in the sentence. So a way to identify a noun is to look at the subject of a sentence. Most likely, whatever you have in the position of the subject of a sentence is a noun. The predicate consists of other grammatical elements in the sentence, such as the verb, the object, the complement, and the adverb or the adverbia. The subject of any sentence is usually a noun. Let's consider some examples. The tall man is very kind to his dear wife. The tall man, though a noun phrase, is the subject of the sentence. So if you are asked, what's the subject of the sentence? Then you have the tall man as the subject of the sentence, which is a noun, even though it's a noun phrase. Now, what that means is that subjects of sentences may not necessarily be made up of one word. They could comprise strings of words. In other words, you can have one word as the subject of a sentence. You can have more than one word. You can have a string of words. You can have phrases. You can have clauses. So, no matter the number of words they contain, they serve as the subject of the sentence. Another way to identify a noun is that nouns usually function as the object of a sentence. When you talk about the object, you are talking about the receiver of the action in a sentence. The verb in a sentence usually conveys a particular action onto a receiver, especially when you are talking of a transitive verb. We'll look at that when we are considering verbs. So it could be a word also, it could be strings of words, but usually the object of a sentence is always a noun. Now this takes us to these examples. The farmer killed a snake. A snake there is the object of the sentence, and the action killed is transferred from the farmer to the snake. Look at the other example. The team walloped its opponent. There are two types of objects that a noun can be. First, there is the direct object and then the indirect object. Now, there is a video I have dedicated to the subject of the direct and the indirect object. I would like you to check out that video on Academia EduConsult on YouTube. Look out for that video on direct object and indirect object. Let's go on with how to identify a noun. Nouns also function as a complement of the subject. This is similar to a noun functioning as the object of a sentence, but with a slight difference. For you to identify between a complement and an object, check out the verb. If the verb is a linking verb, especially the be form of the verb, what you have on the other side, on the right side, is going to be a complement and not an object. But if you have a transitive verb, then you have on the other side an object. In other words, the action from the performer can be transferred through the transitive verb onto noun through its function is to understand that nouns function as the complement of the object. A noun can function as the complement of the object of a verb in a sentence. And it could be a noun phrase, or a noun clause. Let's go ahead to see some examples in this regard. Let's see the first sentence. You can call the man Samson. Samson here is a noun, and it is functioning as the complement of the object, the man. Another example, Americans elected Trump the president. Americans elected Trump the president. Now, the president is the complement of the object, Trump, even though the president here is a noun phrase. Let's see another example. You may wish to give the girl whatever she deserves. Whatever she deserves is a clause, and it is functioning as a complement of the object, the girl. Whatever she deserves here is a noun clause. So if you look at the objects in these three sentences, you have the man, you have Trump, and then you have the girl. So in other words, we are saying that a noun functions as the complement of the object. Also, a noun functions as the complement of the preposition. We can also identify a noun by its function as the complement of the preposition. Let's see the following examples to further drive home the point. We trekked for hours. We trekked is a complete sentence on its own, but there's an introduction of a preposition, and that preposition has a complement. Now, the complement of the preposition for here is hours. So the noun hours complements the preposition for. Let's look at another example. They complained about the roads. They complained is a full sentence, But here we say they complained about the roads. You see, the roads is a complement of the preposition about. The roads, a noun phrase, complements the preposition about. Yet another example. The music director did not insist on who should lead the song. The sentence can stop at insist, and you will have the music director did not insist. But now we have a preposition on, and the complement of that preposition happens to be a clause. So who should lead the song, which is a noun clause, complements the preposition on. So in summary, all we have said is this, that a noun is generally a name. A noun is usually preceded by the article. A noun is usually modified, qualified, or described by adjectives. A noun usually functions as the subject of a sentence. A noun usually functions as the object of a sentence. A noun usually functions as the complement of the subject. A noun functions as the complement of the object. And finally, a noun also functions as the complement of the preposition. Now let's look at types of nouns. We have so many of them that we have put another video together for you to understand the various types of noun that we have. You can do well to see the video in our playlist. I want to thank you for watching this video. You can always like us on Facebook, Academia English, facebook.com/Academia English. You can see us on Facebook. Likewise, we're on Twitter at Academia_NG. And I want to enjoin you to like our video on YouTube, to subscribe to our channel, Academia Edu Consult, and please share this video. Thank you very much for watching. Look out for other educative videos on Academia Edu Consult coming from the platform of academia.com.ng. Thank you. See you around.